Hello, everyone. Welcome to our call. It's Tuesday night, and we're trying to do a call every Tuesday, or at least every other Tuesday, just to connect with our team and check in with you guys and see how you're doing. We love to see all of your faces. So we thought that we would just kind of go over. We're starting a new month here in a few days. We're coming to the end of September. Usually October, November, December is really good time for doTERRA. People are shopping and wanting to think of Christmas gifts, or it's also kind of cold and flu season, so there's a big need too for oils. So people are coming around wanting to get some Breathe or get some On Guard to try out. So it's a great time for oils, and it's a great time to kind of plan for October. I know that's kind of what we've been working on the last few days, is kind of planning our month and planning our times for personal appointments and our times for classes and all of that. So it's a good time. I wanted to just kind of go over on our calls. We like to have a little bit of oil information and a little product information, and then I'm going to turn the time over to Bobby, and she's going to give us a little presentation on what she's been up to. So I'll let her tell you a little bit more about that later. But I'm going to tell you about 3 oils that we have been using a lot this last week. Some of our favorite oils that don't get enough talk. We always hear about the Family Physician Kit oils or the Home Essential Kit oils. Those sometimes, they're definitely a staple and definitely probably the ones that we use majority of the time. But I love having all of the oils at my hands to be able to pick and choose what I need for the month or for that day. So this last month, we went to convention, and we came home from convention, and I got this horrible cough and mucus congestion, really bad sinus infection or cold. And this is the first time that we've gone on a trip that I didn't bring all of my oils. I just brought a few basics, and I didn't bring soft gels so I could make them into capsules. Like, I just wasn't prepared. I thought, oh, nothing ever happens. We'll be fine. I won't bring everything. And of course I get sick. And so I feel like I couldn't use kind of all that I would if I were home. And so I feel like I got a few days like start late into getting sick, so if I can catch it at that very first symptom in those first few days, I can use oils and knock it out within a day or two. I mean, it's pretty fantastic. We've all had that experience, like that first scratchy throat, that first kind of body ache. We start loading up on oils, take some capsules, and boom, it's gone. Like, I'm never sick for more than 3 days tops. And this time, I was trying to use my oils, but I ran out of On Guard. I forgot my Breathe. I didn't have capsules to start loading up. I didn't have my DDR Prime. I ran out of my On Guard soft gels like the very first day we were there. So I just didn't really feel fully prepared to really take care of it. Anyway, so it lasted like 2 weeks. I mean, it was horrible, like so much congestion, so much horrible cough, and it lasted like 2 weeks. It was like, oh my goodness, I realized what it was like before we had oils. It was awful. Seriously, the first time I've been sick like that in years. I mean, I can't even tell you how long it's been. Anyway, so I finally kicked it this last week. I finally was starting to feel better over the weekend. And I mean, I was blowing my nose like every 10 minutes. So I was finally feeling better. And that lagging cough that, you feel better, but it seems like just for another week or so you have a cough. Well, I love Arbavitae. This has saved me since we've had this. But for that cough that just like won't go away and you just want to get rid of it, I'll put Maluka and oregano and peppermint and geranium and all these good cough oils, and I'll be sucking On Guard throat drops and myrrh, and I'm using all these oils. And then I finally pulled out Arbavitae and remembered, oh yeah, this is what did it for me last time. And I pulled this one out and rubbed it all over my throat, and it's like magic. I mean, it literally went away so fast. I went down from coughing 30 times a day probably to like twice a day. So it is really awesome for just to kind of kick that last bit, kick that end of it, and just get rid of that yucky cough. So this is kind of a stinky one. It's not my favorite. It's not one, to be honest, that we use all the time. And this one lingers. Like I put it on, and even I put it on Sunday to go to church, and I'm sitting in church like an hour later and I can still like smell it on me. And it's, you know, it's kind of got a lingering smell. And anyway, so it's not my favorite one to smell, so probably I don't use it as much as I should, but it knocked my cough out, and that's what really like got me over the edge of getting better really quick. So I have a new appreciation for Arbor Vitae, because it's just really great for kicking that last bit of cold. I've heard it's like Melaleuca on steroids kind of thing. It's just a little bit stronger, or quite a bit stronger than Melaleuca, and that's just apparently what I needed. So another one that I really love is Pettigrain. I don't know if you guys use Pettigrain very much. This one has been out, I think, since last convention, so it's been about a year. And it takes me a little while to kind of figure out how to use the new oils and kind of really figure out what they work well for. And so Pettigrain, it works really well for getting my kids to sleep. Lavender, I have 2 kids that lavender and serenity work really well on, and I can put lavender serenity on them. I can diffuse it, and they're out like a light in, 10, 15 minutes. But my youngest daughter, lavender stimulates her. I mean, you put lavender on her and she's just a new person. Like she's totally awake. She's happy. She's like got this new burst of energy. And so when Pettigrain came out last year, Dr. Hill explained that it works on the neurotransmitters, the brain. Lavender works on the brain as well to help get us to help relax and calm us and to help us go to sleep. Pettigrain works on like a different set of neurotransmitters, or it works on the brain similar to lavender. It has those same calming effects, but in an opposite way. And I can't fully describe it because I don't exactly probably fully understand it, but he compared it to lavender, that it has the same calming effects, but in a completely opposite direction. And I don't fully understand it, but I just know it works because I can put Pettigrain on my daughter and it will calm her just like lavender does my other 2, or just like you would expect lavender to do. But it works so well. We actually have this in a roller bottle, and so we roll this on her back every night, and it relaxes her and helps her go to sleep really, really quickly. To be honest, that's about the only thing I've used this for, so I don't know if you guys have used it and have any other experiences. Please share, but this one works really good for putting my daughter to sleep. This is our bedtime oil. Every single night we have used this probably for the last year. Like, it's amazing, and it still is working for her. So I love Pettigrain. Try it. If lavender doesn't quite work for putting you to sleep, or you have kiddos, or just, friends and contacts and clients, don't forget about Pettigrain. Okay, and then the third one I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about was Forgive. So Forgive oil is one of the emotional blends that came out last year, the year before as well. And, there's a whole set. There's like 6 emotional oils. There's peace, forgive, cheer, motivate, and console, and passion. And they're all really, really great. We love and use all of those. I love that they come now in the roller bottles, so you can either have them like this, and we usually just use these to diffuse, and then if we put them on, we really enjoy the roller bottles. But at convention this year, there was a lady that spoke, and she was a manager or director of an oncology unit. And of course, we know any hospital facility, especially oncology, there's going to be a lot of emotions with the patients, and they did surveys with all of their patients on how they're feeling and all of the stress that they feel. And then the owner thought, you know what, our caregivers, all of our nurses and all of our staff, they're the ones, that are right here taking care of them. They come in every day or multiple times a week for their treatments, and let's do a survey on our staff and see how the staff is doing. And the staff was just as much stressed and emotionally distraught as much as the patients were. And so they had a whole trial run and did a whole study, and this study is going to be published. It's really exciting. They're working on getting it published. They followed all the rules for getting a study published, and so anyway, you'll hear more about it. But they tested, or they excuse me, they did a whole workup with each of the emotional oils. And every single time, hands down, Forgive came out on top. This is the one that people had the most success with dealing with their emotions and their stressful emotions, and working with work stress and coming to work stress, and then having a full stressful day and having to go home and interacting with their patients. And anyway, time and time again, this one came out on top for just balancing emotions and stress. And so we've been using this one a little bit more too. I've diffused it, and tonight was one that, when you have something like a Zoom call tonight and you want your kids to go to bed quickly and easily, that's the one night they don't. And they're like, so restless, and my daughter's legs were hurting. She's got growing pains, and they were all just really just having an emotional time. And of course, I'm more impatient because I'm like, hurry up, we only got 20 minutes left to my webinar. And so I'm not being very helpful because I'm now stressed trying to get them to sleep quickly. And of course, they're not going to go to sleep when, I'm getting after them. Anyway, so I rolled on Forgive and rubbed that all over them and put on Petitgrain again. And finally, their emotions started to calm down. And she was finally able to, not be so upset and so distraught. And she was able to relax and finally go to sleep. And so I was so happy that once again, this oil, we were able to just really diffuse some heavy emotions. I have a friend, Amber, and I just saw her post today as well. She has 2 teenagers that are just constantly bickering. They're in the, I'm always right phase. And so they're just constantly arguing. And so she's been diffusing this and has noticed such a great improvement amongst her teenagers, as they're just a lot more happy and civil with each other. So anyway, if you guys know Amber, you'll have to go check out her post. So anyway, those are kind of my 3 lifesaver oils that I've used this last week and have really loved them. So sometimes it's fun to talk about the other oils besides like the main 10, and kind of give you ideas to use them. So do you guys have any ways that you guys have used these 3 oils, or is there another oil that has really impressed you guys this week that you've been so thankful for? You guys can take yourself off mute, and if you have anything to say, you are welcome to. Bobby, you took yourself off mute. Do you want to say something?
No, I'm sorry. I just
okay.
accidentally did that. So.
You're fine. You took yourself off mute, so I was waiting for you.
Am I off mute?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm Jill. You know me. But that's funny that you should bring up Petitgrain, because that's some reason I grabbed that one, and I've been diffusing that in my diffuser, for the past couple of nights. And I'm a pretty good sleeper, but I just like it, just as calming and makes me feel good. I love it. And that
good.
Different smell. And I like Arbor Vitae too, and I think it smells good.
Good. I'm glad. Well, good. I haven't ever diffused Petitgrain. I'll have to try that and see.
Yeah, I like it. And Spikenard.
Mm-hmm. Do you like the way Spikenard smells?
I do.
That one's a little different too.
Yeah, kind of like, Arbor Vitae.
Uh-huh.
My son uses it. He used to use it for acne, but.
Arbor Vitae?
Yeah.
Ah, good to know. Okay. I just think to use it for coughs, so good to know.
Yeah, he uses it for acne.
Okay. Good to know. See, I'm learning too. Well, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, I see you other 2 are still muted, so I take it you're good just to listen. All right. Well, we have Bobby here on with us, and she has been doing really something fun and unique that we haven't ever done before. I mean, I've always done classes or personal appointments, but Bobby has found, I think she found somebody online, watched a YouTube video or something about this lady that does a borrow bag. And so Bobby has been doing this for the last few months and has had great results. So I want to let her kind of tell us what she's been up to and the success that she's had with it. Oh, you're still, yep.
So I just unmute now.
Yep.
Am I on now? Ready?
Yep. You're good.
Okay. All righty. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much. You guys know that I'm really pretty new in the business. I've been using the oils for about 1.5 years and love them, but have only just recently started to try to build a business. So one of the things that I stumbled upon about a couple of months ago on a YouTube video, it was a girl named Lisa King, I believe was her name. And I saw this video where she was doing this borrow bag, and it sounded really like a great idea and something that I could see myself doing. So I made one and really have had some success with using that. Can you guys hear me okay and see me? Okay. So this is the bag right here. Yep. It is you'll need to get just an inexpensive bag of some kind. This is just a cheap Walmart bag. You could get something nicer if you wanted to. But this is going to be for sharing with people that you know, people that you have a relationship with, and that, you know, this is not going to work for strangers or random people that you meet online. So that's the first thing to remember. And so the first thing I have in here, I'm going to show you what I have in the bag, and then I will show you I'll tell you how we use it. So the first thing you'll need is a folder like this, or any kind of folder, but I got this one on Aroma Tools for $1 or $2. And in the folder, I've got some information that I'll go through. So I wanted to, first of all, have something in the bag to be able to kind of introduce people to the company a little bit, to familiarize them with it. So I have a Welcome to doTERRA, just a booklet here, which is pretty inexpensive. And then you could have like a living brochure as well, or instead of that if you wanted to. I have a class DVD in the folder. And then in my folder, this is not what I think the other lady didn't do this, but you guys could decide what works for you. But I have a class in a box class outline, and I really like this because when I sit down with the person that I'm going to be sharing with, I am going to do just like a really abbreviated one-on-one or a class with them. So it'll have everything that I need to go through. And I also like it because it has the enrollment form right on the form, and when I come back, if they're ready to enroll, we have everything we need right there. And I keep a pen in my bag as well. And then the next thing I have is, this is just a list of the top 10 oils and their uses. I think they make really nice pamphlets or handouts on that you could buy to be a little fancier, but this is just a typed up list of the top 10 oils. And then on the back of that, I have just typed up just some safety guidelines for oil usage. And this is just really important to me when I'm sitting down with anybody. If they're going to use my oils, then I want them to make sure that they have a good experience in it. So I always leave this with them and make sure that I go over that with them. So I just have these 2 pages back to back laminated. And then the next thing, so I just kind of personalize this for whoever's going to get the bag. The last time was a girl that is a young mom and she has young children at home. So this is just a tear sheet from Aroma Tools with child's health and babies with using essential oils with babies. And this is just laminated sheet of this. but you could also have several other things that you could have, and I like to laminate it because it just holds up better. But you could just switch that out really easily for, you know, whoever you are sharing the bag with. And then I have just a couple of brochures. So I like to have something to show them that we have other products besides oils. And so I always put the LLV brochure in there because that's my favorite product. You could also do like a skincare brochure. You could include that, or maybe Slim and Sassy, just whatever you think that person might like. You could put a couple of those in there. I try not to put too much information to kind of overwhelm them, but just enough so that they could just get a good sense of the company. And then the last thing that goes in the folder is the Living magazine. And I love, I wish they would do this monthly. I love this magazine. It's so beautiful and just well done. I love that it has the product guide in the back with the prices so they can see that. And there's usually an article about, you know, a Healing Hands project or our co-impact sourcing, which is really nice. And then just all those really great articles on how to use, incorporate the oils in your everyday life. So that's the folder. And then next, I put this in my bag a little bit ago, and this is a very old Modern Essentials book. I should probably not have this book in here. I'm sure it's not very compliant, but I bought it for $4 on Amazon, so I should probably maybe put the newer one in here. I know, right? So anyway, you could put the little mini one. The mini is Modern Essentials with the spiral band would be nice to go in here, but I like to have an oil guide so they can, you know, if they want to read more about the science behind the oils, if they wanted to, they could read that. And I like for them to be able to look up different concerns, health concerns, and be able to see oils that might be useful for that. So that's in my bag. And then the next thing is a diffuser. So I have my Petal diffuser in here. You guys could totally have a less expensive diffuser. You don't, you know, I think the other gal did some other brand, but I like to use this one. This is my first one that I got whenever I enrolled, and it's a little old, but it works really good. The reason I like to have this one though is because later when we're going over the enrollment kits and they're going to see the diffusers in there, then they will see that that's the diffuser that they had and they know about it and they've tried it. So that works out well for me. But you could totally use a less expensive, a different diffuser. And then finally is the oils, and I just got a little cosmetic bag and put my oils in here. And I put in my bag the top 10 oils, with the exception of oregano. I do not, I just don't feel comfortable putting that one in here. I don't want anybody to accidentally burn themselves or have a bad experience with that. So I leave out the oregano. And then when we're going over the oils together, I do talk about oregano and tell them how wonderful that is, but I'm just upfront with telling them why I didn't put that in. But so what I do is I just save my old bottles. So when it gets down kind of low on oil, then that's a good one to put in here. You don't want to fill up the bottles with oils, or even half full. I wouldn't. But I just save my old bottles and use them and share them with some of my team that want to do a bag, and that's what I do. So I've got all of the top 10 with the exception of oregano. You could do less oils than that. It's just whatever you want to do. I also usually will put 1 or 2 oils that are not on the top 10 list, that are not in the kits, because like I usually put Serenity as one of my favorite oils, and I'll put that in, or maybe another one. And the reason I do that is because whenever we're getting, everybody loves Serenity anyway, and when we were all done and talking about enrolling, then you know, if that's one that they really liked, then that's just a really good opportunity for me to introduce the loyalty reward program for them, and then we could go ahead and set that up for them and have that oil on their first order. So I usually add at least one that's not on that, not in the kit. And then I have, I just have a small bottle of fractionated coconut oil that I put in another little bag for them. I should probably get our brand, but this is a Plant Therapy, I think. And then I also include, I also like to include a few samples for them to try. I like to put a deep blue rub, and then maybe a, usually a toothpaste sample, and maybe a shampoo and conditioner or something. So those are for them to try and keep. So that's everything that goes in the bag. And the way that I use it is, you know, to be honest with you, I have almost exclusively used this for the last couple of months in sharing the oils. Like I said, I'm really new, and I'm still a little bit anxious about feeling like I'm being all salesy with my friends. And so to me, this kind of changes that around, and it helps me to, rather than asking them to do something for me, I can do something for them, and I can do them a favor. And most people look at that as just, you know, like, oh yeah, I'd love to try that, you know. So they're curious about the oils and what a diffuser is and how that works. So it's worked out really well for me. But, you know, I may make a post on my Facebook page, just my regular page, something about oils, and then I will, you know, people will like that. And then whoever likes that, I mean, I can send them a private message or give them a call and say, you know, I saw that you liked my post on whatever that was. And then I can just say, you know, I have this bag of my favorite oils and a diffuser, and I would love to let you just try that in your home for a few days. I let them have it for 3 days. You know, that's what I do. And a lot of people, most people, I guess, have classes on a regular basis that they can bring their contacts to, or refer them back to their class whenever they're talking to somebody. But to me, in my life right now, that doesn't work for me. I can't do regular classes. So if in any kind of conversation that I come across people talking about the oils, I will just say, usually I will just say, I have this bag and you can try that. And so that's kind of what's worked for me. When I ask them to, if they'd like to try it, and most everybody does. I've had few people that said, no, I'm not interested in trying that at all. I will just set a time to come over and bring that to them. And then we'll sit down, I'll take out the folder, and then I will take out just take out the class outline. And then I'll just very quickly go through just basically what are essential oils and why doTERRA. I'll show them how to talk about how to use them. I'll take out that list of the 10 oils, and we'll take those oils out of the bag and just go through those just real quickly of kind of what they can do, just like you would do in a class, just kind of a condensed version of that. And then we'll take out the diffuser and go ahead and put some oils in there and just show them how to use that. You know, as we talk about their health concerns, you know, I can take that Modern Essentials book out, and if they say they're having problems with sleeping or whatever, then I can sit there with that book with them and help them to, let's look up and see if there's anything that we can try. And most anything that you do that you can find, you're going to find one of those 10 oils that you could use to help with that. So that's just kind of how I do. I will go ahead and take my phone out and make an appointment, set up a time for me to come back and pick it up 3 days later. 2 days sometimes, but usually 3 days at the most. And so then I just leave it with them. And then the following day, I will make a phone call or a text to them just to see if they have any questions and how things are going. And then I will go back on that 3rd day and pick it up. So when I come back, we'll sit down and I'll take back out that class outline again, and we just kind of pick up where we left off. And I will talk to them and show them how they can get the oils in their home and finish that part of it. And if they're ready to enroll, then we have everything we need right there to take care of that. sometimes they're not ready to enroll. And if they need more time, or if they really don't have the money right then we may talk about other people that they know that might be interested in hearing about the oils, and if possible, see if they'll commit to host a class in their home, and then and just show them how they can earn the money toward their own oils. So I just try to always leave with referrals, at least or have a class if I can, or an enrollment. And it's really been an easy way really for me to share the oils. So I thought it was a great idea. And you guys know Sherry, that's how Sherry came on board with that bag. So she was one of my elites. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions, but that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing.
So now, do I unmute?
About how long do you spend with them for that first appointment and then that follow-up appointment?
So I tell them up front that it'll take about half an hour. And so I try to just keep it within a half an hour. If they're really too busy, we just could go a lot faster than that. A lot of times it really will go a little bit longer than that because they have questions. And since it's just one-on-one, if they're not really too busy and in too much of a hurry, I can spend as much time as I need. But usually it's about half an hour. And then following up, probably not quite as long. If they're enrolling, maybe that same amount of time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. I've seen your success with that as your numbers are popping up on top enrollers and things consistently, and the number of enrollments. And I was excited for you to share this today because, like I said, you've been very successful with your borrow bag, and I'm excited for you to be able to share that knowledge with everybody.
And it's a unique idea. It's not something that everybody utilizes. It's not a common way to do it. So I love that it's different and unique and it's working for you.
And when I started out, I didn't have all those oils. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when I started out, I didn't have all those oils to put in. I didn't have extra bottles of all that. And I just started with what I had, and just kind of went from there. But it's just it's so non-threatening. It's like, when you ask somebody if they want to borrow that, everybody always just was like, "Oh, really? Thank you so much." And they're happy to take it and try it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I love that you have an older Modern Essentials guidebook as well. I hold on to I think it's 5th edition, that is the one that before all the compliance stuff. So it has excellent wording. It's straightforward because it can say all of those dirty words. So I love it.
I know.
Yeah, and I love.
I know, for sure.
Amazon for $4. That's awesome. So that's a great book. Well, we have just a few minutes left. We have about 2 minutes left before it kicks us off. Does anybody have any questions for Bobbi? Well, thank you guys very much.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to say thank you. That's a great idea, and I might try that. Thank you, Bobbi. Okay.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And it's not my idea.
Well,
I stole that idea, so I wish I had thought of it
from you. My idea
There
came
you
from
go.
you. Yours came from someone else.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Bobbi, thank you for sharing. And if you've got any questions, you can post it underneath this recording. We'll post on our Facebook pages, and you can ask any questions that you'll have. And I'm sure Bobbi will see those and be able to answer those the best she can. And we'll have another Zoom team Zoom next week at the same time. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank
You
you.
guys have a good night. We'll talk to you
too.
later.